Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another episode of Behind the Grind with your one and only host, Simon Romero.
Joining us today is UFC bantamweight Mr. Bria Kelleher. How's it going, my friends?
Doing good, man. How's everything?
It's going well, not as good as you, of course, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
So, how were you able to celebrate your Easter this year around?
We're not like, my family's pretty close, we usually would get together and have some kind of gathering at somebody's house, but I just saw my nephews quick for a little bit. People are driving by people's houses and beeping horns and stuff. It's kind of weird times.
Yeah. How different is it for you compared to what it was like before?
It's different in a lot of ways. But in some ways it's similar. My lifestyle is kind of like train, eat, sleep, train. Like I'm very regimented, so I'm more of a homebody in general. So I feel like for fighters, it's probably easier to deal with this than the average person who's going to work and coming home and maybe going out on the weekends to the bars and stuff like that. I don't really
Yeah.
I don't really go out that much. So for me it's fine. It's just I miss the gym. I miss training with my teammates and going to practice. That's what I really miss.
So it's kind of normal besides the fact that you're not able to go to the gym and train all the time.
Yeah,
Something
because
like
for
that.
me, I'm still working out like two times a day, 6 days a week, and I'm able to kind of get creative and make do with the workouts. But it's been real hard to keep the weight down. That's the main thing. With the quality of training, it's hard to really be in fight shape.
Mm. So, looking through your Instagram, you have multiple talents, including your singing, your ukulele playing, and everything. The thing that really popped out to me was that little song clip you posted. What was that all about?
Yeah, I just like that. You know what that is? That's this quarantine boredom that's getting to me. That
Okay.
I'm looking around my house, like finding things that I enjoy, just hobbies that I have, and I'm like, oh, there's my ukulele. Like I'm gonna start strumming and just kind of have fun with it. And then I started thinking like of just like goofy, funny ways to like make little Instagram or Twitter posts and kind of apply it to fighting in some way. And
Mhm.
I'm really just having fun with it. I love music, and so I was just like, hey, I'm gonna put it into something and make it kind of like a funny thing.
For sure. So, since we're on the topic of music, I'm hoping this time you've heard of this new song by Drake, the Tuesday Slide.
Yeah, I
Oh,
heard it.
whew.
I don't remember exact lyrics, but I heard
Yeah,
it
yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Perfect. I struck out. I went 0 for 3 yesterday. No one's heard of the song. So, I
Oh
don't know.
yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
on Spotify. Like I'm going for runs and I'm looking for new music all the time. So
Perfect. So I don't know if you've seen the dance or anything, but left foot up, the right foot slide.
yeah, everyone's doing that on Instagram these days.
You gotta show us your best impression of that. Come on.
Dude, I gotta practice that if I'm
Oh
gonna do that
man.
because I don't even know how to do that right now.
All right. Maybe next time.
Yeah. We'll have to get a couple practice sessions in and we'll have
I
it for you.
see.
Yeah.
All right. So during this whole quarantine time, which Bria Kelleher fights should the fans be watching?
If I had to choose one, I would tell you to watch two of them, the Burrell fight and then the fight with Damon Stasiak. I think those two are like two full 3 round fights that are exciting to watch. That back and forth, good action, and a lot of excitement. So I would say those two for sure.
Of course. And looking through your Twitter and Instagram and all that, so you've made a couple posts about Mr. O'Malley over there. I'm sure you want that fight. How important would it be for you to get that fight?
Damn, you call him Mr. O'Malley, huh? You didn't even call me Mr. Kelleher over here.
I did at
Unbelievable.
the beginning, Mr.
Nah,
Brian
nah.
Boom. Come on.
Nah, nah, nah. That's that like quote unquote money fight for my division, I feel,
Okay.
and I think he knows that, but it's like, hey, like now it's time for him to test himself against, a tough guy that could really give him a challenge. I feel like I'm that guy. I don't think he thinks that. I think he thinks he wants someone with a bigger name, with a more of a win streak that, can propel him to the top 15. But also, he's looking for smart fights and winnable fights. And I understand it, but I don't like it. I feel like, you got to test yourself. You got to have that mindset where like you can beat anybody, you can fight anybody. So, you know, I think he's kind of playing a little smart, and I'm just trying to, get my chance at trying to steal a lot of hype that he has and put my name in there and try to
Cut
you
out
know,
on me there. I don't know if you can still hear me.
yeah, I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
I hear noise in the background, but can you hear me? Yeah, you
Can you
there?
hear me now?
Yeah, now you're
Yeah,
back.
I'm there. All
Something
right.
happened with the
I
Wi-Fi
lost you for a
there.
second. That's all right. So I'm not sure what you said at the end there. If you just rephrase it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was saying like with the O'Malley thing, he's got a lot of hype, and I'm trying to steal that hype because, you know, sometimes in this game, it's not just about like being in title contention. It's about getting
Yeah.
the right fight that makes the biggest noise. And for me, that's him. I think he's got so much hype behind him. The UFC loves him. If I could beat a guy like that, I could kind of revive my career. I'm coming off a big win now, but I need like two or three big wins to get myself back into that like top 10 area
Hmm.
where and,
Yeah.
and I don't have much time. I'm not saying I feel young, but I'm 33, so I'm not trying to take it slow. I'm trying to like go for it right now.
And if that fight does happen, where do you see yourself getting the better of him?
He's a good striker. He's flashy on the feet. He's definitely long. I don't even think it's a stylistic, good matchup for me, but I want to steal the hype, and I think I can beat anybody. That's just how it is. I find a way to
Hmm.
win. I know he's tall, he's lengthy. He wants me on the outside. I got to get inside. I got to throw power shots. I got to show him no respect. I got to probably get in his face pretty early in the fight and try to drain his cardio. I think I have better cardio. I think I have better wrestling, better jujitsu. I can probably catch him on the ground with a submission or maybe some ground and pound, something like that, or even just a decision if I can, keep taking him down and tire him out and have him struggling on his back.
Which makes sense. A smart game plan for a taller fighter and lengthier. So let's say someone steals that fight and it comes later in your career. Who else could we see you wanting to fight next?
Well, other than that, I don't have real focus on like single names, I mean, there's some guys out there that would help propel me up quicker, like a Thomas Almeida. He's been out for a while. He was up in the top 15, I believe. Ricky Simon, I think would be a good fight. Um, I like Hunter Azor, actually. He's a new guy. He's undefeated. I like fighting undefeated guys and trying to take that O away.
Hmm.
He was actually, me and him were actually talking about fighting during this whole situation where they were going to make that card April 18th and kind of keep rolling. I was going to fight him on April 25th. We were trying to
Okay.
make it at 145 because cutting weight right now is rough. I can make
Yeah. Yeah.
145, but 135 would be a struggle. So I would like to make that fight as soon as possible. If he still wants to do it at 145, if the
Mm,
UFC would make an exception, let's do it.
of course. And in your imagination kind of thing, what do you think Fight Island is going to end up looking like?
Man, I don't know, but it's kind of crazy. Like I feel like Dana knows what he's doing with that. I feel like he'll pick a really cool looking spot, something where there's somewhat of safety guidelines involved. It would be really cool to fight on an island like that, and I think
Hmm.
that would be something like I think they would do like an annual thing where like once a year they would have like Fight Island, like where
Probably, yeah.
they would keep it going and make it a tradition.
Which makes sense. I'm sure they're putting a lot of money into that too.
Yeah, a
Might
lot of
as well
time, a
use
lot
it.
of money. Yeah, might as well use it from here on out. And I think it'd be like a prestigious thing where like a lot of fighters would be like, I want to fight on Fight Island next year, you
Mm,
know?
that'd be pretty cool. Even I want to fight on Fight Island now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So since we're on this topic, I've heard you've made a song on that ukulele you have about Fight Island. Can you share a little bit about that if you got that nearby?
Yeah, well, I got the uke right here, man. I don't know. I was trying to I know like three chords on this ukulele, and I just keep
Okay.
using the same ones, but making different melodies with them.
For sure.
So yeah, I was just going like with the strum right here and just making up Fight Island songs because I feel like this is a way to stand out in these times
Hmm.
that if like I can catch the eye of the matchmakers or Dana White, like look at this guy, he's singing songs on the ukulele trying to get a fight.
Yeah.
Like that's
Hmm.
like, it's unique, it's different. So I feel like, this is my way of being like, hey, like let me fight. Like let me fight short notice
Of
Fight
course.
Island. The only issue is like it's kind of there's a catch-22 because I keep saying like 145. Like
Yeah.
UFC doesn't like to do catch weights, so
Mm.
I would have to find someone that's like, hey, I want to fight at 145. I'm a bantamweight too, but I'm, heavier and I want to fight 145. So let's do it. Like you kind of have to
Yeah.
match up like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure if you put a match in front of them, they'll think about it a little more instead of matching you with someone else.
Yeah, and Hunter Azure, like I screenshotted because I actually messaged him on Instagram because I wanted to get like some proof,
Yeah.
and I screenshotted that and sent it to my manager, and I was like, dude, like this, he's down to fight at 145, like let's
Hmm.
push for this, make it happen, and
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a new deal from the UFC, so.
Okay. Yeah. So you were talking about your management too. How long has it been since you've signed with them?
Oh, I've been with Sucker Punch. That's what their name's called. Brian Butler's his name. I've been with them since before the UFC, but only like probably like a year before. I was on like a
Okay.
big win streak. They reached out to me, signed me. That's what they do. They scout you out, see who's the next prospect. And I think I beat Julio Arce, and I was about to fight him again, and I had signed with them.
Okay. And how much would you say they've actually benefited your career?
Oh, definitely big because, getting in the UFC, I got to fight Yuri Alcantara on short notice. They did really good with getting me in there. I'm sure anybody could have got that opportunity, but they have a good reputation with the UFC. They have a big clientele, and they've had a lot of loyal clients for them. I've seen a lot of people stick with them throughout the years, so that's a good sign. And they really helped me, get the right matchups, get good, not even favorable matchups, but matchups that were going to help my career explode.
Yeah, which makes sense. All right. So before I let you go here, is there anyone you would like to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, my family, of course, for always supporting me. I appreciate them. My fans, people who stick by me through the wins and losses, and the UFC for doing what they're doing, trying to keep us going. Management, Sucker Punch, Brian Butler, my sponsors, Fighter Cryotherapy, the Terp House. Who else we got? We got trying to think, the float place, we got a bunch of them, so yeah, just thank you everybody for sticking behind me. I appreciate it.
So, and then this last topic I have, it's getting a little old, but this series on Netflix, The Tiger King. What do you think about this whole show?
I watched the show. It's pretty crazy, man. It's almost like a competition, like very competitive. Like it's weird though that they're like all in different places, but they're still competing and fighting over like kind of petty stuff. But like,
Hmm.
they're all kind of doing the same thing in a sense.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
captivating, wild animals and but they're saying like my reason for doing it is better than yours and this and that. It's like it's a wild show. It's craziness,
yeah,
but definitely entertaining stuff.
of course, especially during this quarantine time.
Yeah, then I watched Don't F with Cats. Did you see that?
Okay. No, I haven't heard about that one. What's that all about?
Oh my God, don't it's called Don't Fuck with Cats, and it's like it throws you for a loop. Like I highly recommend watching that if you like kind of murder mystery type stuff. Like it's
Okay.
interesting, man.
Is that one on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix too.
All right, I'll check that one out.
Yeah,
All
check it
right,
out.
perfect. So that's all I have for you today. So yeah, it was fun having you on.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you. Good to be on here. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Awesome. So Brian Kelleher, we'll talk soon. Mr. Magic Matt Dixon, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the show. So before I get too into this, can you just tell us how you got involved in the sport of MMA?
Actually, my dad's the one that got me started. He was into boxing. He never actually got to compete, but he always was a huge fan of it, trained, and always wanted to compete, but his mom wouldn't let him. And so whenever I was a kid, he wanted me to know how to defend myself. He wanted me to be pretty familiar with the sport and how it all plays out. And so he got me started at a little MMA gym, if you could even call it an MMA gym. It wasn't really MMA back then. It was more
Mm-hmm.
just boxing and some submission wrestling, and they would just meet up, train, and all that good stuff, and share what they knew. But that's where I got my start. And so I just did it on and off in between football seasons and between other sports. And I didn't really take it seriously till I was about 12. And then when I was 12, that's whenever I really got involved. I started to watch fighting for myself, and then I became a huge fan, wanted to train, wanted to know, everything about the sport, all the ins and outs, and I've been with it ever since.
Of course. So, like you said, you mentioned boxing. I know you have some experience there. Have you flipped through back and forth? I know you've competed as a professional in boxing. Could we see you going back to that?
Maybe. Right now, my total focus is on MMA, but yeah, absolutely in the future. I really enjoy boxing. I still keep up with the sport pretty closely, and
Okay.
I definitely would love to do that in the future, though.
How important do you think doing boxing separately, opposed to doing boxing in your training, is for a fighter?
It can. There's pros and cons to it, is what I would say. Obviously the defense is so much different in boxing than it is in
Mhm.
MMA, because obviously you have different size gloves, which makes a
Yeah.
huge difference when it comes to guarding your face and all the ins and outs as far as the defense is concerned. But as far as overall hands combination, head movement, footwork, and a lot of those other details, especially offensively, it makes a huge difference in your skills when you add that to Muay Thai, kickboxing, and all that stuff as an MMA fighter. There's not a lot of MMA fighters that really have the level of amateur experience that a lot of boxers have. In
Mhm.
boxing, they put a lot more time into the development of fighters versus in MMA, a lot of guys go pro after their first or second fight as an amateur. So it's a whole different level in a lot of different ways. So there's so much to actually go into with that. But yeah, to keep it short, I would say it can make a very big advantage if you know where to put your time and attention into.
Of course. For example, Lomachenko had like 364 amateur fights or something like that. But
Yeah.
for someone who wants to start MMA, would you suggest them starting in boxing or another aspect?
Boxing and wrestling would be a good foundation. To tell you the truth, I think that wrestling is going to be one of the best things for any fighter mentally, as well as physically. So, boxing is a great sport. It's a great way to learn about combat and learning how to compete. But as far as an MMA fighter, I mean, if you just look at what Randy Couture did to James Toney, I mean, that will give you a good idea of just what wrestling can do to a boxer that has no experience on the ground. So I would absolutely recommend adding boxing to an MMA fighter's repertoire. But,
Hmm.
you have to have that wrestling foundation as well as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I would definitely add it in there. Add
Of
boxing at
course,
it.
of course. Awesome. So you're still fighting in high-level promotions on the regional scene, but how long do you think it'll be till we see you in the UFC?
To tell you the truth, I'm ready now, man. Honestly, we're weighing out some things. What was crazy about it was, honestly, we've had some craziness go on outside of the cage, and so there's a lot of little details that have kind of kept us away from going professional, as well as I'm just not really in a rush. I mean, I'm 24
Hmm.
years old, and so I know that obviously I still have a lot to learn in this sport. I have a lot of development to do as far as athletically. Um, but yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Honestly, I want to go. I'm excited to get to those bigger fights, bigger contracts, all those different things. So I'm ready to go. But like I said, there's some things outside of the cage, as well as just getting my coaching, my training camps, all of that stuff to the next level as well too. I feel like I have developed, but I have to develop those things as far as getting all of those
Sure,
things
for sure.
where I need them.
Awesome. So, and your last fight being March 6th. Now, I'm pretty sure it was one of the last cards before all this started. How happy or relieved were you that you were able to do that?
Man, it was crazy. To tell you the truth, I'm so happy that I got that in right before all this coronavirus stuff happened because, dude, to tell you the truth, the year of 2019 was the craziest year for me as a fighter. And
Okay.
so outside of the cage, that is. And so just going into that training camp up until my last fight, it was just wildness at every turn. So, I'm very, very thankful that I was able to get that fight in right before everything happened.
Now, specifically, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what certain things that were you going through in 2019 as opposed to 2020?
What actually was crazy about it was right before my fight that was supposed to happen September 13th of 2019, my fight literally fell through last minute, literally hours before the fight was supposed to happen. I didn't get paid for that fight, as well as where I was training people for, I teach cardio kickboxing classes, as well as I do personal training, all of that stuff on the side, as well as being a fighter, and that keeps me in the gym all day, so I'm able to get all the training sessions that I need, as well as make the money that I need outside of the cage. But literally the place that I was working at fell through, and so we were literally on a nosedive as far as all that stuff was concerned. And so it was just a wild time because obviously my bills didn't go anywhere. I had to start a new job in an industry that I was not familiar with at all. Started working full time, and don't get me wrong, man, I don't have any excuses for March, what was it, 7th or 8th, something like that. But anyways, the last time I fought, that night, there was a lot that, had happened just leading up to that fight. And so I have no excuses, but just all those different things going on in 2019 up until that fight, it was just all out craziness.
It all adds up in the end, so I'm glad to hear that. So I don't know if you've heard about this sort of new Drake song, the Tuesday Slide, but have you found your groove to that yet, if you've listened to it?
What is it?
The Tuesday Slide by Drake.
No, I haven't.
No?
I haven't heard it. I've been so out of the loop as far as what's going on in just outside of like pop culture and all of that stuff, to tell you the truth, man. What is it?
Okay. All right. Well, I can play it right now if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Alexa, play Tuesday Slide.
I can't find the song Tuesday Slide.
Oh, Tuesday Slide. Alexa, play Tuesday Slide on Spotify.
I can't find the song Tuesday Slide
man.
on Spotify.
I'll find it real quick. Won't take long.
Oh, okay.
It goes like left foot up, right foot slide. I'm surprised you haven't heard it. It's pretty
Man, I might
pretty
have.
viral.
I mean, my girlfriend is always listening to music because she dances and she teaches dance, so I'm sure I've probably heard
Maybe
it.
she's heard it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Here it is. I don't know if you can hear it properly.
Black leather glove, no sequin.
It's pretty catchy. Anyways, my next question was because it goes like, what's up?
Oh, I was just saying, okay, cool, man.
Yeah. My next question was I was gonna ask you to do the dance to it, but since you haven't heard it, we'll have to go with the flow. So it goes like left foot up and then right foot slide. If you want to give it a try, you don't have to, but
Left foot up,
that'd be
right
pretty
foot
funny.
slide.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably have to see it, man. I'm a visual person, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
So left foot up, right foot slide could mean like 1,000 different things to me. You know what I mean?
There's two different things they're comparing. There's like the Michael Jackson, like the moonwalk kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah.
You have to give a listen to that song now. Get into the
I'm
loop
gonna check
again.
It out. I'll let you know.
Of course. All right. So when this whole thing's done, which major fight do you think us viewers need to see?
As far as me?
Yeah, sure. Or the UFC, wherever you want to go.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. So you're saying as far as where I'm gonna be next, my next fight?
Yeah.
Really, that's the big thing, is finding out where we're gonna fight next. To tell you the truth, we don't know exactly how the landscape of MMA is gonna look after this, COVID-19 is up and done, because right now I know there's a lot of local cards that have been talking about potentially getting started back. There's a lot of cards that, you know, people want to see happen, whether it's Bellator or, you know, LFA, you know, or XFN or any of the leagues outside of the UFC. But I'm not sure that any of those leagues are going to be able to sell tickets. Now, I'm not trying to take shots at any of them or anything like that, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to actually fill events. And I think that the UFC is the only organization that's going to be able to make enough money through pay-per-views to really just do it that way. So I'm not sure exactly what the landscape's going to look like. So really, I'm just staying ready, man. Just staying ready, staying prepared. Fortunately, I'm back to doing what I have to do. Everything is cleared up outside the cage for me. Now I'm just getting everything going as far as, like I said, my training partners, my coaching, all that stuff, getting that stuff to the next level. But like I said, you know, everything's going good now. I'm back to my normal routine of just being a professional fighter again, not having to work another job full time. So really, man, I'm ready for the UFC. I'm ready to go. I'm excited about that. But yeah, so we're just going to kind of see, though, you know, just keep improving, keep getting better and all that good stuff, and just wait and see.
For sure, for sure. Now, which things, if things changed, do you think that'll change in the sport of MMA after all this is done and over with?
Man, this is so wild. To tell you the truth, I think that it'll be interesting to see what organizations stick around. I think that could be something to kind of keep in mind as well, too, because, you know, I don't know how long they can keep, like certain organizations can keep fighters under contract without paying them any money, because I believe that the UFC is probably going to be the only organization that's able to do that. So I don't know. To tell you the truth, there could be a lot of things that are affected by this. So I see that I think the UFC will be able to be obviously the first organization to come back and do what they're doing. I have no idea how long they'll go without having actual events with fans in the seats and all that stuff. But I think that's pretty much one of the biggest things is getting fans back in the seats, because if we're able to go back to normal and have large groups again, I think that kind of covers it for the most part. So, but if that's affected and we're no longer able to do those groups, you know, for even, you know, longer than being projected at this time, that's going to take a heavy hit on MMA.
Of course. So those are some of the questions I have for you today. But before I let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Man, just all my fans, my friends, my family, all of the, you know, people that support me, and you know, obviously my gym, WCF Tulsa. I also want to thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be interviewed.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. So last question I have for you. Have you seen this new documentary, The Tiger King?
Dude, I've watched a little bit of it.
There we go.
I watched the first episode of it.
Of course.
Man, honestly, to tell you the truth, I was so disturbed by it.
Exactly. I thought it was just me.
I didn't get past the second episode, man.
Jeez.
But it cracked me up, man.
I know.
I was laughing because I live here in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of Joe Exotic, you know. I've heard of those things before that. I didn't know all that craziness, you know. There's a place, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but we have a place called Safari Joe's out here in Tulsa, and and so I don't know if they're getting any backlash or anything like that. They own a water park. They have animals. They have all these exotic animals and tigers and stuff like that. And I don't think that they're actually associated with Joe Exotic, but
it says Joe in there, so you never know.
You never know, right? So, man, it's dude, it's a wild documentary. I'm actually gonna finish it up because everybody's telling me, man, you gotta finish it. You gotta finish it. So, you know, there's something to it. There's something to it.
Of course. I felt the same way. Have the UFC's own Tanner Boser. How's it going, my friend?
Going all right, you know, despite the circumstances. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you for asking. So, how did you end up celebrating Easter?
I've been at my girlfriend's place every day since this shit started, so I've ignored the quarantine in terms of only going to her place and nowhere else. We ate a bunch of pizzas and stuff.
Perfect. Can't complain over there.
Good as she gets, yeah.
Of course, of course. So, how have you been settling during this whole quarantine thing? How have you been training and yeah, stuff like that?
Everybody's just doing the best they can. You know, I got a pair of 40-pound dumbbells, a skipping rope, and a medicine ball in my condo, and that's what I got to work with. So, I mean, it's not perfect at all, but, you know, you do what you can.
Of course, there's always a way you can find being a fighter. So,
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. So, a big topic I wanted to discuss with you today was this whole Fight Island thing. What do you think that'll end up looking like?
I mean, it's anybody's guess. If it goes through and it actually happens, I mean, I hope it's a warm island. I hope it's tropical. That'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely everyone's hope. We're just hoping that it actually happens.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any talks of you attempting to possibly get on that card?
No, I mean, if you look at the proposed lineup for May 9th, the second fight on the card is freaking Jacare and Uriah Hall, right? Like,
Okay.
There's no room for Tanner Boser and Jeff Hughes on a card that stacked. So, I mean, a few cards down the line, though, maybe in 3 or 4 cards, once they run through every guy that's normally in a co-main event that they've had to, you know, stuff onto their first couple cards, then, yeah, I would love to fight.
For sure, for sure. So I know this quarantine thing's been going on for a while, but what have you? I know I've asked you this, but have you been playing any like video games or watching any certain shows that you've been into?
Well, they put all of Community back on Netflix. I've been getting real back into that. I watched the first, I think, 3 or 4 seasons, whatever was originally on Netflix, like 6-7 years ago, and
Okay.
now they got the 2 newest seasons or the 2 final seasons or whatever on there, so I restarted watching that. Funny show, hilarious. And in terms of video games, I don't play too many video games, but I'm playing Pokemon Go quite heavily.
Okay, sweet. What's that whole show about that you were talking about? I know most of us aren't too familiar about that.
Community, it's a comedy. It's about a community college. It's got Daniel Glover and I'm not good with actors, but it's a funny show. Think The Office, but in a college.
Similar to that. Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm short on questions now. I was gonna ask you, have you heard of this song, "The Tuesday Slide" by Drake?
No, I haven't. I don't like Drake.
Man, no, really? I'm 0-3 on I striked out. That's all right. I was gonna ask you to do the whole dance and everything, but
oh hell no,
maybe
man!
for next
I
time.
had no idea what that is. Yeah, no.
Oh man. All right. So before I let you go here, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to? The stage is all yours.
I mean, I had sponsors for my last fight, so I'll give them a shout out. That's PPS, Paul Pedal Services, Mealcraft, and Premier Built Garages. So those guys are helping me through my last training camp, and hopefully they'll be there for me here in the future. Those guys are awesome. And I mean, you know, my coaches are Jeff Montemuro and Cage Noda. Unfortunately, we're not training, you know, right now, but yeah, man, those are my people, my training partners. I got a lot, and they all know who they are. So.
Perfect. Kept it simple. So last one before I let you go here. I'm sure you've heard of this new Tiger King series on Netflix.
I have. Everybody's heard of it. I think I know the entire plot of the show despite not watching it, you know.
Okay. What did you think about it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've seen all the memes though, so I think I got it all.
You got the whole story now.
To watch it at this point. Yeah, no, I got it. Again,
right, so,
that kind of thing is just not really my thing.
All right. So if you do check it out, let me know what you think of it. And
Will do, man.
All right, perfect. So, like I said, that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon.
Yeah, you got it, man. Have a good day.
All right, so Alex Polizi, if I'm correct.
Yep, you got it.
Awesome. Right on point. All right. Joining us today is undefeated prospect Alex Polizi. Said it right in the beginning, but there you go. You taking it easy today?
Always, man.
See what I did there? Put the
I got
easy.
it. I got it.
Awesome. All right. So how have you been handling this whole quarantine thing lately?
I mean, just same as everybody, just doing what we can. Trying to keep a normal schedule is really important, and I mean, above all else, just trying to stay safe out there, maintain social distancing, only going out when you need to, that sort of business. It's really stepped up my cardio game because you can't go and punch people and you can't go and lift much, so you got to just run it all out. Been through a couple pairs of what I thought was gonna. Been through a couple pairs of running shoes that I thought were gonna last a little longer than they were gonna, but part of the business.
Of course. Yeah. So depending on your answer here, this may be the last time I ever ask this question, right? So it is very important. Have you listened to the new Drake song lately?
A lot of new songs come out. I'm not sure what's like new anymore, or if he's got like a new album, or if it's a new single. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure. Could you get, what's the song called? I'm not sure.
All right. This Tuesday Slide song. There's a dance to it and everything.
He has like a little informational how to do the dance thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it.
All right. Can you show us your best impression of this whole dance thing?
See,
left foot up, right foot slide.
I heard it one time.
That's all right.
I heard it on my way to the dog
Come on, you can
party.
do it.
I don't think I can. I don't remember it.
All right, you just gotta lift your left foot and slide.
Time.
Come on. Just try it.
No dance moves quite yet. You got it. Like, I'm not gonna put myself out there with a dance move I know at half-ass.
You gotta show the world.
If I hop into it, it's gonna be full ass. All right.
All right. I'll give you that one then. Let me down, but that's all right. All right. So if you could have anyone in the world play you as a character in a movie, who would that be and why? This is a very important one, so think it through.
All right. Before I was full-time fighting, I was substitute teaching, so I actually got a lot of kids calling me out for looking like certain people, and some of them have been more right than others. I've said people said Post Malone before, and I'm like, that's just because I'm white and I have a beard. That's not the same thing. Let's see. I'm going to be honest. The best one, and some of it's because of the hair, but I think it's a little bit of the facial features. I can't quite recall his name, but if you've been watching the History Channel Vikings, the main character. The main character on the show Vikings is the actor is very talented. I've seen some of the episodes. I just can't recall his name quite yet. I mean, I got Google right here in front of me. I could probably pull it up real quick.
All right, go for it.
Vikings. Oh, hold on. Alexander Ludwig.
Okay. I think I've heard of him before. He sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you watch Vikings, I mean, it's pretty good. We have a similar look, even kind of sounds similar, except he's a better actor.
Okay. And is that just because he looks similar to you, or is there like certain features you think you do the same?
I think it's important to have a look, but I feel like a lot of costumes and a lot of like makeup can fix that, but like how somebody moves their face is something that you can't quite cover as well, and we do have similar facial expressions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So during this time, people have been getting pretty bored. What new things has Alex been trying out during this whole quarantine thing?
New things. Well, above all else, it's been keeping inside. I mean, it definitely hasn't been dancing or getting close to anybody. I've been just like everybody else. Been trying to hide away and do a little more gaming. The video game industry's been keeping strong. I picked up I don't know if you have a Switch yourself, the Nintendo Switch. There's a pretty good couch co-op game called Overcooked, and I've been playing that.
I'm guessing it's a cooking game.
It is a cook. It's a cooking game on its outskirts, but it's more about communication between people. Because I mean, anybody can get together and say, hey, there's a guy trying to take base A. You got to shoot him. But it takes something else to be like, okay, we need more fish tacos. Serve it up, chop, chop, chop. And it's a mess. Sometimes there'll be little virtual fires you got to put out. It's a good time.
Sounds intense there.
Yeah, things get a little heated. A little heated in the virtual kitchen.
I see. All right, so you're 6-0. I'm sure you're getting close to that UFC call. When do you think that'll be happening?
Well, actually, we after this last fight in Minnesota for that LFA title, we were in talks with lots of different agencies, people interested. What ended up happening was we got the best deal out of Bellator. So currently, I'm signed up for a contract with Bellator.
Awesome.
We'll be fighting for them. Once this craziness kind of lifts, hopefully that's soon. We'll see. Once we can get into arenas again and start doing sporting events. So we'll see when that happens. But yeah, it's Bellator now, and down the line, I know that the UFC is kind of the premier. It's almost become a household name with MMA. Sometimes casual fans, you'll say, I do MMA. What's that? You mean like UFC? Yeah, that's sport versus NFL. But, if down the line my time with Bellator impresses them, maybe. I know that sometimes there's been crossovers, not so much as recently because the UFC kind of has the stranglehold on that. But still lots of good talent in Bellator. And,
of course,
just looking to fight.
Yeah, for sure. Is there an opponent in mind you have for the fight?
Specifically, no. I mean, I've said it in interviews before. I'm not, trying to duck anybody, dive anybody. I'll fight whoever, whenever. Even if it ends up coming down to something silly like Dana White's idea of a fight island, which look. 100% that's a cover for him to start a Mortal Kombat. You know that, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I see. I didn't think of that one.
But yeah, I mean, it's I see some guys that are like, well, I'll fight this guy, and they're like, but at the end of the day, we're all fighters. We're all looking to do the same thing, get into a cage and beat people up. So whether that guy is from here, from there, has this name, this ring, this title, don't matter to me. I'm in there to have fun.
For sure. Now, you can tell a lot about a person by their choice of music and their personality, pretty much. But what is something we couldn't figure out about Mr. Polizi just by looking at him?
Well, let's see. You've got some pretty good questions. I like you're coming with the heat there. I feel like a lot of interviewers, they say the same sort of thing. Are you gonna be ready for this opponent? And all that other jazz. And it's like, answer this stop. I'm like, what? Well, where do you see this fight going? Like, I'm gonna win. That's where I see it going.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to change it up, be a little different. Doesn't hurt.
One thing that people may not be able to tell about me, although I'm not secretive about it, is although I fight at light heavyweight. I'm a bigger guy. I'm big and strong, and I know when I'm in the cage I look real mean. I'm actually just a nerd.
Okay.
Actually, that you mention it, I talked about playing Overcooked, but also I've been doing a lot of time devoting to Dungeons and Dragons. I play 5th edition. I'm a DM. So a lot of dice rolling and nerd stuff. So if you catch me after a fight, say, hey, Alex, good fight, I'll say thank you. But if you start talking about rolling some dice and we're talking initiative counts and ability scores, like I'll get into that, man.
Okay. Awesome. I definitely wouldn't have guessed that about you. All right. So you said you played that Overcooked game. Is there any other games you play on your little Nintendo Switch there?
On the Switch, I like to stick to.
Or any other game? I don't know. What else you
I-
play? PS4,
I was
Xbox?
gonna get there. On the Switch,
All right. My
I
bad.
hang out Overcooked. Once in a while, you'll see me trying to Super Smash Brothers.
I see. Okay.
Although the online community, I just can't keep up, man. Those people are reckless. You'll get on there and you'll get served. You'll get served by some 9-year-old who will spike you right off the mat. And it's, I don't know. I'm more of a couch co-op kind of guy if I'm gonna do online stuff. But
All right.
Super Smash Brothers. And then if we switch over to Xbox, I've been playing a little bit of Borderlands 3 if we're talking shooters, a little RPG elements, but then
Right.
I've still been stuck in Capcom's Monster Hunter.
All right. What's that about?
Oh man, they keep coming out with updates. Like you know how in most games you end up fighting a bunch of little guys and then eventually there's a big boss at the end.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is just all bosses. It's just
okay.
You set out just to fight the boss. It's got way more life than you. It's way bigger than you. You shouldn't, like, by normal human logic, you definitely shouldn't be trying to fight this thing. But it's kind of fun.
For sure. It's kind of like real life. If you think of like MMA a little bit, you're fighting that big boss. Similar, I see.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Sure.
I need that challenge on the daily.
Of course. Awesome. So as we get closer to the end of this thing, I want to give you the floor to talk about anyone who's helped you during your career thus far.
Man, that's a long list of people because I mean,
We've got time.
yeah, we definitely got time. I mean, I've had plenty of training partners throughout the years, but most currently the guys at Chosen Few who have been, being those good training partners, taking those punches, rolling with me when they're tired, hurt, sore. That's always something that's really greatly appreciated. And then my coaches, again, throughout my whole career from high school to college, but most notably now at Chosen Few, that take the time to watch me and to say, hey, Alex, you goofed up there, and then to then put that into practice by saying, okay, punch. Okay, not like that. That was wrong. Do it again. And then punch. The wrong. Do it again. And to be able to have that patience with me and make sure that I'm executing things correctly and learning right. And then I'd assume that most of the time this is the spot where I would call out some of my sponsors.
Yeah, for sure.
Sponsors of my fighting career would be the Rock Bar and Grill in Beloit. They've been helping out since the beginning. JMR Construction. And then it would be, see, now you're gonna make me look a fool because I'm starting to forget. It's just been a while since I done the shout outs. I forgot.
No worries.
But, stalling for time.
Yeah.
Madison Family Wellness, who does acupuncture pressure here in Madison, as well as Alpha Tile and Stone doing a good job. And then Kern's Motor Car, which has really came through, especially, I don't know if you remember a couple winters ago when we had that nasty cold snap. I still shout out each time because, man, my car gave out during that time. It it died.
Oh, jeez.
And it was like -30 with the wind chill out.
Ugh.
And after that, I was like, yo, guys, I need a new car. And they hooked me up. So
Awesome. Shout out to them then.
Shout out to them. Big shout out always. Might not be here if it weren't for that, man. I might
For sure. Might have froze, yeah.
That crummy Jeep.
All right. So that's end of your list there?
What's that?
Is that the end of your list there?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just gonna ramble on and just keep talking.
For sure. Well, like I said, we got time. All right. So last question here before I let you go. It's this Tiger King series. I'm sure you've heard of it. What do you think about this?
Carol definitely murdered her husband, like 100%. Like, why is that?
All
Why
right.
is that even a thing? People,
Shouldn't even be a question.
dude, people with that much money don't just disappear without their
Exactly.
money, right?
I know. Too obvious.
Too obvious. Now, did she feed him to the tigers? But like, she definitely got rid of him, like 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
No one knows how though, but
See.
All right. Like I said, that's all I got for you. Thank you for joining, Alex Polizi. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Simon.